Hit and record. Um, uh, so essentially, um, the kyber crystals are ARFIDs, um, and for $60 on Amazon, you can get an ARFID reader writer and rewrite the ARFID in your kyber crystal to be whatever color you want it to be, and then you don't have to spend $15 a pop to blind box different colors of kyber crystal. I have mastered the force. Uh, okay. So, who said don't forget to record? Kaylin. That's a new name. I mean, new for reminding me to record. So, humble bundle. Ooh, next month is going to be Metro Exodus. Well, that's cool. And cook serve delicious. Delicious. Um, okay, so Kaylin, uh, give me any month but June. September it is. Purchases. Do you remember when? Oh, we only have two choices in September. Let's see. Okay, there's only two things left. Something called Action Indie Simulation. It's not actually called that. Those are the categories. Um, looks like Goofy Silliness or Indie Adventure RPG. Which would you rather have? RPG it is. Send me a private message in the chat here with the email address where I should send the game code. There we go. Copy. Gift to a friend. Control V. Send email. You are now the proud owner of a game called Evoland Legendary Edition. It looks Evoland is a journey through the history of action adventure gaming, allowing you to unlock new technologies, gameplay systems, and graphic upgrades. So it looks like you start out as an old Zelda game, and you do graphic upgrades, so it looks 3D eventually. It looks kind of cool. Why didn't I pick this? Anyway, it's yours now. Congratulations. Also, whoever, let's see, if uh is Alex Miraz in this class? Because if you are, you still haven't picked up your game. I think they're in the 4 p.m. class. Also, uh whoever I gifted Lethal League Blaze to has not picked up their game. And the ukulele person has not. That was just yesterday. Get your games. Uh Whoever it is, Lethal League. Let me see. I'll tell you who it is. Lethal League. Lethal League Blaze. Um it's a number and letter combination that does not spell out a name. So we don't know. It's a mystery. Okay. That is that done. Who is it? Ethan Rowe. The floor is yours. I'll just I will mute myself and let you guys talk.
Hello.
Oh,
So, leads meeting. A few leads still have not filled out the when to meet. Right now, it looks like tomorrow at noon or tomorrow at 3 p.m. Looks like the best times. But if you haven't filled out the when to meet and you're a lead, you know who you are. Please do. I already bothered you on Discord. Other than that, I see everybody communicating and whatnot. I love to see it. Keep up the great work. Y'all are doing amazing.
Remember, tomorrow is when the rabbit hole opens, so things need to be put in place for then. Any last minute things that people need to talk about, either now or after class in the Discord, is the time to do it. So if anyone has any pressing thing that they need done right now, go ahead and say it. And then if not, nice, then good. Remember that the rabbit hole needs to be available tomorrow. Um, Also, sign up to do 4 p.m.'s class. There's a spreadsheet in the Discord that you can fill out to sign up for a day to work on the other classes ARG. So don't forget to do that as well. It's in the chat, I think. Yep. So if you haven't filled that, fill that out, and then I think we should be all good. That's it from me.
If there's no concerns, no questions, then I'm all set as well.
Okay. Oh, 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 oh. He won't. He keeps staring at me. The heck? Come on. He yells at me. I like turn him to face the camera, and he just faces me. How does he know me? I'm here. How does he know? Ah! Sorry. Okay, I gotta stop. I get all my Star Wars toys on May the 4th. Okay. Turning off BB-8. Oh, he disconnected. No, just turn it off. Sorry. Hi. We should talk about it's 5-9 Mun or 5-9 Sun. What? Is there a question? Lol. Oh, something else. Okay. Okay, I'm turning off. What is going on? Okay. Okay, I think it's off. Okay. Okay. It's BB-8. See? It's BB-8. He's very cute. Okay, so here's my question. And this is something that that you'll probably have to deal with. So you have two gameplay activities and two story beats per day, right? So what happens if on Thursday no one does one of your gameplay activities or no one solves a puzzle? What do you do? Because it's going to happen. So I'm asking. I'm gonna sit here and we're gonna. I'll just play with my lightsabers uh, until I get some response. Because
Do you mean
yes,
nobody succeeds or nobody tries to solve it?
well, it's hard to tell, right? Because all you know is if somebody succeeds, right? So, are they trying or are they not trying, right? So that it's a good question, right? Do you have a way to tell if, like, say you put out a puzzle and there no one solves it? Is it because no one's bothering with it, or is it because it's too hard? What do you do? First off, how do you tell?
Um, for a lot of the puzzles, um, there are ways that I think we would be able to see if people are solving them. Like one of them is figuring out a link to a YouTube video. So if the views start going up on it, that's an indicator.
Okay.
And if no one manages to figure it out in like a certain amount of time, we could have the person running the YouTube account like share the video with someone, like you said, reaching out to certain players to drive engagement.
Okay. That's quite possible. Sure. Let's see. It says try to understand their current thought process, but okay. So, how do we do that exactly? So, first off, um, I'm going to tell you it is going to be tempting, um, to have someone from your class pose as a player, right? Uh, um, you make an alias. You might even make a new Gmail account. You know, a sock puppet, right? You make some persona, and you go in and start talking to the other players, and you say, "Well, have you thought about this? What about this?" Because you, sock puppet person, know the answers, right? So you can help guide the players, right? Very tempting. Um, there's a problem with that. And have I talked about this before? I think I talked about it ages ago. Um, uh, so apparently not, because no one's saying yes. You told us all about this. There's a problem with this, and that is that if there's a sock puppet player um, who's kind of like asking good questions and kind of guiding, yes, you read about it. It's a common, like, professional args have done this. I've been in kind of presentations at conferences where professional args are like, and then it seemed like nobody was getting this one, so we had one of our player surrogates uh, uh, put in, share some clues, and everybody in the audience. This was a conference for arg makers, right? So everybody in the audience went, "Player surrogate? What? Players? What's a player surrogate?" Um, and the presenter said, "Oh well, we had a number of our members of our team uh, uh, pose as players so that we could keep track of what the players' thought processes were, um, and seed clues where we needed them." And the entire room erupted with like, "Ah!" Right? And the very experienced people just kind of face palmed and shook their head, and this poor presenter was like, wait, what? I'm getting a reaction and I'm not sure what's going on here. And finally, one of the very experienced people spoke up and said, when, and it's, I use this to this day, I'm quoting them, I guess I'm paraphrasing them. When you put sock puppets in, at the time they were calling them shills, you end up playing your own game, because your players they gravitate to the smart players, right? So if one person seems to be really smart with figuring out the puzzles, it's you say, you wait, you say, hey, we found a puzzle. What does Bob think about it? Bob's really good at solving these puzzles. He's always asking great questions, right? And so the rest of the players don't play. They wait for Bob to drop some wisdom on them. And I know one year they decided that year to have a timeline for both the bad guy and the players, right? So since we know the duration of the game and we know that at 7 p.m. Monday, bad guy wins, right? So every step of the way, every day, every activity, there was they had incremental win losses, and they thought, and honestly, in a video game, this is an interesting structure where you say at 5 p.m. If the players haven't gotten this puzzle, finished it by 5 p.m., then the villain scores a point essentially and gets more powerful, right? And so that puzzle then becomes moot, right? That puzzle or activity or what have you, there's a time limit on every single puzzle, right? So if they don't get the first puzzle of the day by say 3 p.m. and the second puzzle by say 8 p.m., then each one of those at 3:30 will just reveal the solution because they have lost. So there was a problem with that, in that they used one of these sock puppets, and every day at 3:30 he would say, hey guys, I figured out the answer, and but they didn't tell the players that there was a schedule, that the villain was winning, because they didn't want to give away the villain's secret plan. They were going to reveal it as the players solved puzzles. So the players learned that if they just waited long enough, this cool guy Pete would solve the puzzle because he was smart. And so they solved none of the puzzles in this arbitrary time. So there were a couple of problems with that. First, they picked an arbitrary deadline. Well, they picked a deadline and then did not say in their puzzles, you must solve this by 3 p.m. Right? So there's this deadline looming that the players themselves don't know there's a deadline. So that's a problem, because people have lives, right? And so, for instance, that puzzle box that that I solved over the weekend, I got it on Friday, and I opened up the box, I looked at it, and I solved one of the puzzles, and I was like, oh, that was cool. And then I watched TV, right? And I'm like, I'll get back to this. And I watched TV. And then Saturday afternoon, I went back, having solved one of the puzzles, and started fiddling with it some more, and didn't feel any kind of time pressure, and just futzed around with it until I figured it out, right? And I figured out puzzle after puzzle, and I kind of banged right through the rest of it. And at the end, when you find a card, and on that card there's a place on the web to go, and on the web, the website says, how long did it take you? And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was being timed. I was just futzing with this cool puzzle. What the heck, right? So I like there was a leaderboard for who had solved it quickest, right? And I was looking at that thing as, look at this gorgeous box that I want to savor. I don't want to blast through it as quickly as possible. I want to look at all the workings and figure it out. And essentially, when I'd open a piece of it, I'd look in all the nooks and crannies to see how exactly was that locked and what was going on there. And it's ingenious because it's all wood. So I took, I don't know, an hour and a half on Saturday plus however much time. And they were like, if you went over an hour, you didn't escape. And I'm like, what? Huh? I was opening a box. So deadlines that your players don't know are deadlines are not good. Helpful player surrogates or sock puppets or shills are not good, because players will depend on them to solve puzzles. They won't solve the puzzles. You'll solve your own puzzle. And then, was there really a puzzle at all? No. There was just people waiting around for you to solve your own puzzle and show them the next thing. And so going back, like, so that's one solution to, hey, these people aren't solving the thing. What do we do? And I've sock puppeted my way down a whole rabbit hole of one possible solution that no one suggested, except me. But that's one tempting way to solve the, we don't know where they are, they don't seem to be trying. Should we just wait, or should we do something else? So normally, what is normal? But in long-term args where it's a 4-month long arg, if people don't seem to be trying, you wait. Somebody will come along and figure it out. So you can't do that, right? Because well, you can. They just lose on Monday at 7. But that's no fun. You want them to see your content, right? You are making these things for someone to see them, right? So what else can you do to either spur players to try, or to help players who are having problems? I see a bunch of stuff in the chat, but that's side stuff. Thoughts? I'm asking now because on Thursday, or more likely on Friday, you'll all be like, they didn't get Thursday's puzzles. How do we get them Friday's puzzles? Right? It's possible. It may not happen. They may blow through your stuff. It always seems like they either blow through everything in 15 minutes, or they stall and hours go by. So what else can you do? You tell me. What's the thinking? I feel like ARGs are different from escape rooms in that there are no easy way to give hints. Yes, that is true. But there are ways to give hints. So how would you give a hint? Use the characters. Absolutely. So as long as players know who a character is, that a character is a character, that they have some online presence, and generally, you know, that's why I said make digital footprints that basically delineates this is a fictional character in this arc versus this is another player. So depending, and honestly, I don't know how you've structured your arc, but sidekicks are wonderful for helping, because that's their role, right? um Hey boss, or hey everybody, did you think about this, right? Is it, or, and here's the other, is anybody trying? Because I'm racking my brains and I got nothing. Where are you? Right? And honest to God, with many puzzles and obstacles, and I keep saying puzzles, but obstacles, talking through them leads to the solution, right? When you're just in your own head and you're like, I don't know, I just don't know. If somebody else comes along and says, what have you tried? What haven't you tried? How what else is there to try? Or just, hey, can you explain to me what's going on? The act of explaining generally leads to a solution. I'm not saying all the time, but it helps. So have them explain to you, whether in Discord or in an email or what have you. Generally, in a public forum is a good way. What's going on? Okay, so then what happens if you say, "Hey, what's going on? No, is anybody trying?" And there's no response. Mm-hmm. You give up, you shrug, and go home. You work real hard on solving their arg. Claim that the villain is going to win in some way. Okay, that's a good one. Maybe have a the thinking on that arg, get them upset that they're losing or something. Yeah, absolutely. That arg where the villain had their own timeline, that's good thinking. Their downfall was keeping it hidden. So if villain or somebody else gloats that by the end of the day I'll have this in my hands and that's the first step or the third step in my global domination, wahaha, villain needs to announce their victories. Absolutely. Or that they're close, that all they need is this one more piece, and they're sure they'll have it by 5 p.m. tonight, right? And that spurs everybody to redouble their efforts to get it done by 5 p.m. Okay, so so use the characters, make kind of mini milestones, right? I mean, think about what the mini bosses are in games, in video games, is basically, hey, you've reached the halfway point of this piece of the game. So it's a milestone, right? You know, this hard thing is not the boss, it's a mini boss, right? And so you go, oh, I beat the mini boss, that means I'm probably halfway to the boss, right? So no sock puppets, no share your victories, share your nefarious plans, use characters to help provide clues. What about just up and abandoning something? Is that, what do you think? Like, here's this, um, well, more likely, okay, so they have pounded their heads against Thursday's second puzzle, and it's Friday afternoon, they still haven't gotten it right. Now we've got a kind of artificial, I'm looking, are there two gameplay, are there two story beats? Without me here looking over your shoulder, it's quite possible just to abandon a puzzle, right? Just cut it. With me looking over your shoulder, if it's a 3-part puzzle, cut out 2 parts, and then you just got, or make it brain dead easy. Okay. So there's one more thing I wanted to tell you. Okay, well, I'll move on. There are other ways. So cut things, but not in progress, right? The other thing is, check your work, right? There was one puzzle one year where it was a difficult puzzle, or at least the people who made it thought it was a difficult puzzle, and the solution had to be put in a web page. There was a field on the web page, and you put, it was like a 4-digit number, and then you press submit, and if it was incorrect, it would say, no, try again. And if it was correct, then it would let you into the web page, right? Standard kind of password thing. And the next, and I believe it was the 3:00 class doing it that year. So we get into class, and I'm like, what happened yesterday? And they're like, well, we put out the puzzle, and it was broken, so that if you put in the correct answer on the form and press submit, it would say, no, try again. But we noticed it right away. And we fixed it. And it was broken 15 minutes max. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that sounds all right. And they're like, and it took them like 4 hours to solve the puzzle anyway. So it was all good, right? Everything worked out. It took them 4 hours. And I'm like, okay. So we go on and we talk about other things. And then I get to the 4:00 class, and I'm like, as part of it, I'm like, okay, how how did it go last night playing their arg? And they're like, we want to kill them. We want them dead. We hate their arg. We hate them. They suck. Right? What? What happened? And they're like, we got the puzzle. We solved it. We put the answer in, and it said we were wrong. And I'm like, how long did it take you? And they're like, oh, about 5-10 minutes. And I'm like, ugh. And then we worked to see what we were doing wrong for 4 hours. 4 hours. Until somebody finally said, hey, what about the first thing we put in? Maybe we put it in wrong or something. And I put it in, and I'm sure I put it in right. 4 hours later, we put in the same thing, and it worked. And I'm like, yeah. So let me tell you what happened there. And then I told them, and they're like, yeah, now we want to kill them more. We hate their arg. We hate them. We want them to die. They wasted 4 hours of our time. Right? Because we knew we had the answer. Right? So there were three mistakes there. 3 mistakes. One, they put up a broken puzzle, or at least a broken way to register the correct answer. Right? So, okay. We knew that, though. 2, they fixed it. Well, 2, they didn't have any way of recording what was going on. Like, they didn't have a record of what the players were trying. It was just, did they make it? Did they not? Right. So if they'd have had a log of some sort of, oh, they tried this number and this number and this number and this number, they would have found their mistake in their JavaScript programming or whatever it was quicker. Second, they would have seen that in that first 10 minutes, their players had solved the puzzle, and been told that they were wrong. And then they could have said, they could have sent a message or had a character talk to them about, hey man, maybe you should try that first thing. It looks right to me. Maybe you should try it again. Right. And then when they had screwed it up, and 4 hours later, they had no idea how angry their players were. They thought everything was fine, and they kept going. So they weren't communicating as characters with their players, right? So let me just say that there are 2 things to think about here. One, you're probably going to make mistakes. It's okay. This is the first time you've done this, right? So you're going to make mistakes. It'll be fine. When you make a mistake, use your characters again to say, something got screwed up. There were cosmic rays that made that thing not work. Right? Own up to your mistakes, and tell your players sorry. Right? Make sure they know that the gods have screwed up things for you and for them, and you're endeavoring to correct it. Second, while you're playing their ARG, and they make a mistake, forgive, be kind. They're going to make mistakes too, right? This is not to excuse the mistakes. You'll note in the achievements, putting up a broken puzzle is an unachievement. So never forgive. um, so there you will, or they will lose achievement points for putting up broken puzzles, and so will you. That achievement happened during that same ARG, where later, after I'm like, you can't do this anymore, people. You like, check your work. Have you tested these puzzles? And they were working under the wire. Their one puzzle guy was kind of sloppy. And he would come with these incredibly complicated puzzles, and he'd be like, no, it works. I tested it 3 times. And nobody else would ever bother to test it. So test your work. And then they'd put it up and it would turn out to be broken. They put up 2 more broken puzzles from this guy. And number one, this is why I talked to you about the authorial contract, right? Where if I will provide you with entertainment if you will pay attention and try. Well, if you have proven that you can't provide entertainment, they will stop trying. So it's, remember, it's finals week, right? Next weekend is, everybody's going to want to study for their finals. So probably the worst thing you can do to anyone in the other class is waste their time. Did I tell you? No, I'll tell you this story. This is a great story. The one ARG was based on time travel, right? And the idea was that student from the future had become Elon Musk or whatever, super Tony Stark dude. Elon Musk is an idiot who buys ideas. He's not Tony Stark. Sorry. Forget about Elon Musk. Tony Stark. And he was cheating. He had invented a time machine, and he was sending back information to his younger self so that his younger self would get an A on his MQP. Okay. So this whole thing was based around time travel, and the big centerpiece on Friday night, there was going to be a Romanian prince giving a talk in Alden Hall about batteries. And this was a key moment in time, right? So the idea was that there would be, and you can't do any of this because this was all, but you can't get in trouble this way. So there would be a box full of stuff from the future at this talk by this Romanian prince who was an expert in batteries. And everybody, they found like a copy of the speech that had been sent back from the future that the Romanian prince was going to give. And it turned out nobody believed that there was an actual Romanian prince who was an expert in batteries. But there was. He had come to WPI to give a talk on batteries. So the plan was, this was an actual talk scheduled for real in Alden Hall, and they were going to take a box full of these blueprints from the future, and he had given the talk before, which is how they got a copy of the talk ahead of time, and it turned out to be the same talk. And they were going to put this box in the back of the hall for their players to go to this lecture about batteries and find this box of stuff from the future. Problem with this idea is that Romanian princes, and he was an actual Romanian prince, they come with security, and those are guys with guns. And if there's an unattended box in the back of the lecture hall where the Romanian prince is going to give his lecture, he is not given that lecture. So luckily, the ARG people arrived, 20 minutes before the lecture to put this box in the back of the hall, and they put the box in the back of the hall, and then they were surrounded by guys with guns saying, "What are you doing?" And they explained, and the guys with guns were like, "Yeah, no, you're not going to leave an unattended box in the back of the hall. Get the hell out." Right? So they got the hell out, trying not to get me fired. And the players went to this lecture, and they're looking around for what's going to happen. They're expecting this, man, what a great actor this Romanian prince is. Is there going to be some big scene? Is there going to be an assassination attempt? We don't know. There wasn't. It was a 2-hour lecture about batteries, which they had to sit through. And then as they're leaving the hall, one of the people from the other class run up to one of they knew who was, this is almost collusion, kind of collusion. They knew who the people in the other class were. So somebody from one of the classes ran up, shoved the box into the hands of the people, their players, and ran away. The box got delivered. Nobody died. Everything's fine. Whew, whew, whew. Players are livid. It's Friday night. You made me go to a 2-hour lecture about batteries. I want to kill you. Why didn't you run up and hand me the box before the lecture instead of making me sit through the 2-hour lecture? So be aware of time, be aware of attention, keep moving people through. This is a ride. This is not, the whole purpose is that everybody gets the experience, not that you don't win if they lose, right? Everybody's just frustrated if they don't get through all the stuff that you have planned for them. So I am way over time. That was a lot to talk about, a lot for me to pontificate. I will see you on Thursday when the ARGs will have started. Very exciting. Can't wait. I am looking for rabbit holes, and good luck. Can't wait to see it all. Remember, things are due tomorrow when the ARGs start. Okay. Bye.